This is episode number 47 of the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer live stream podcast. My name is Attorney Alexander Napolin. I am an Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer. That means I represent injured workers in the Inland Empire. And I'm joined by Attorney George Abuado, who's also a workers' compensation lawyer in the Inland Empire. And we're here to discuss traumatic brain injuries in workers' compensation. This is a topic that George and I know a lot about. We've represented people who have TBI, who've been injured through a hit on the head. Maybe they don't know at first they have TBI. Maybe they come in with a neck injury from something falling on them. Right. That's our discussion for today. So if you're out there and you have a workers' compensation claim, maybe you don't really know you have a TBI. You're getting headaches. You're not quite sure. Maybe your doctor is not addressing those issues. It's time to listen to our discussion so you can understand what your rights are, and also give our office a call, 844-984-8414, to get that free consultation. So, George, as a matter of background, what do you got?
Alex, TBI, traumatic brain injury, this is a very serious topic. And what I like to tell my clients and just people that are interested in the subject or know someone that might have a TBI is, listen, we all use a computer. Let's not talk about a laptop. Let's talk about a computer. Use a mouse, use a keyboard. Something goes wrong with your mouse, you can replace it. Something goes wrong with your keyboard, you can replace it. But one thing you can't replace is a CPU, a central processing unit, or if the mainframe goes down. I'm not a computer guy, but there's something that once that's fried, it's a wrap, okay? Same thing with our body. I mean, we think about our hands and our limbs. Yeah, they're extremely important, of course, but you can get prosthetics. There's something that can be done. But if there's something wrong with your brain, they can't do a brain transplant. There's very limited options for someone that has had a serious traumatic brain injury. A lot of medical treatment needs to be done. All options need to be explored, but ultimately, the brain is the one thing in your body that you can't have a transplant on. You can transplant hearts, kidneys, organs, but if you hurt your brain, that's extremely, extremely sad and serious.
It's a complex organ. That is a very good analogy, George, about the computer. It's also hard for other people to know, unless they know you very well, that you are having an issue, maybe, because it's not something that you can easily measure. Right. Like somebody's cognitive function, your own cognitive function, you might know that you have a deficit now. You might feel that you're having headaches, but nobody sees that. Right. And because the industrial clinics, go back to episode number 1 on treatment at the industrial clinic, if you have questions about that, or if you're concerned about your treatment there, they're maybe not going to diagnose that TBI. You're going to say, I have headaches. Well, it's headaches and it's dizziness, and I'm not sleeping, and I'm feeling nauseous, and I'm seeing blurry vision, and I'm not thinking right. Maybe those are very subtle, and maybe they come on over time. Right. They're treating my neck, but they're not treating my head, my brain. And that's when you need a workers' compensation attorney. And that's why we're putting this discussion together. So if you're out there, George and I have extensive experience with these types of cases in getting our clients to neurologists, neuropsych doctors for behavioral issues as well. Yeah. And also finding those QMEs, those secondary qualified medical evaluations. That's another topic we've discussed on the podcast. And we encourage you to check out those videos. We'll put some links up here in the description below, etc. So how common are these injuries, George? I mean, what industries are we looking at? Who are our viewers out there who might have these issues? I mean, it could be anyone, right?
It could be anyone. They're not extremely common, Alex. And that's why you want someone that knows what they're doing and has actually worked these traumatic brain injuries to help you out. They're not very, very common, but they do happen. As you would guess, there's some industries where they happen more often than not. I would say it's anywhere where you're going to be working with heavy equipment, like a construction site. That's why you wear those hard hats, right? So if you're automatically required to wear a hard hat, then that's probably for a reason. Probably you have some danger to your head, right? Yes. So if you automatically have a hard hat where you work, then you are probably susceptible to a TBI at some point.
Wear that hat.
Wear the hat for sure.
I've represented construction workers who've had objects fall on them and they haven't had their helmet on. Yeah, hat on, and that's a traumatic brain injury waiting to happen.
Right. Moving on to what could happen is you could hurt your head. Maybe something falls on it at a job site, at the warehouse. Maybe you're working at a restaurant. This happens a lot, and you slip and fall. Maybe you hit your head on a counter on the way down. It could happen in any form, okay? But what I'm saying is if you injure your head, you don't know the extent of your injuries until you go see someone that can definitely assist you with the medical treatment that you need and do the correct testing and check you out. We already said that this probably won't happen at an industrial clinic. So definitely, if you suffered any type of injury to your head, please call us. Please call the hotline if you're not feeling well. This is serious and should be treated sooner than later. So
yeah, if they're just giving you X-rays of your cervical spine or neck, but you're asking for a CT scan of your brain,
right,
and they're not giving that to you, definitely need to call the injury helpline. We can change your doctor. We can do a lot of stuff for you. If you have a denied claim, we can do stuff for you. So if you're out there and you're concerned you have a TBI, could be a professional sports player. You could be an amateur sports player. If you play sports in California, you are also covered by workers' compensation insurance. That's one industry that we just discussed. If you work at a tire shop and a tire falls on your head, if you work at a restaurant, you slip and fall and you smack your head on a counter or you hit a pole. I had a case where one of my clients turned around and smacked their head on a big pole.
Right.
It happens.
But if they turn around and they smack their head, it's kind of their fault. No, are they still covered?
Oh yeah, they are actually, because it's no fault.
There you go.
A lot of people feel that like, oh, their employer has to do something wrong, or maybe, but that's not the case.
No, we've covered that, but it's just always good to point out.
It's
right?
a no fault system, right?
No
George?
fault system. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're out there and you have concerns that you may have caused your own injury, we discussed how there are exceptions to this.
Right. We
encourage you to go back and check one of our episode out on horseplay. And what's that other term you used for it? Or another, they're not skylarking. What's
skylarking? Yes.
What was that?
Horseplay, shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
I had a client who was in the back parking lot. They were challenging. The employees were challenging who could run fastest. So they were doing sprints in the parking lot, and one of them fell, and it was my client, and he hurt his knee.
Oh, was he covered?
We did actually. I got that claim paid.
Wow.
But by a CNR, we got a good amount of money, but they're, because those defenses exist out there, they might tell you you don't get any workers' comp benefits at all. If you hit your head doing one of these things, they might tell you, oh, you were messing around. Well, get a lawyer, and we're going to fight for you on that. That's something that we do. So just don't be discouraged from getting that free consultation. Dial the injury helpline, 844-984-8414. If you're at the industrial medical clinic, you're looking online, maybe you have a spouse or a child or a friend who you're looking for because they have what is believed to be a TBI. And you're looking online, you come across a podcast. We're lawyers here in the Inland Empire. If you're in Riverside County, if you're in San Bernardino County, but if you're also in Orange County and LA County, we service those courthouses as well. Yeah,
and as you were talking, Alex, I remember our previous episode, our last episode that we did, and we were talking about Uber drivers. We it was a little bit of a off topic, but we were talking about Uber drivers when they become employees, which we're looking like it's inevitable that they become employees under California Constitution, right? They will probably be subject to a lot of possible TBIs because accidents, if you get the brain gets rattled, a lot of different ways you could suffer a TBI, but one of them is definitely an auto accident. So if you're a driver for a company, you're definitely at risk of a TBI if you get into an accident. You always want to wear your seatbelt, but still that brain rattle, depending how hard the accident was, could cause some damage. And the problem with, and Alex mentioned it a little bit, but the problem with traumatic brain injuries is that there's a lot of subjective pain, a lot of subjective issues. And what do I mean by that? That means that, like Alex mentioned, you're the only one experiencing them, okay? It's not like they can take an x-ray of your hand and they can see something broken in there. When there's issues with your head and your brain and your functions with that regard, they might not be visible. It might take... I don't know what kind of tests can be done or what can be done regarding your case, but you might not be able to find out exactly what the issue is. So it's very different than a regular injury, right?
Yeah, even a CT scan, like a concussion, may not even show up.
Right.
You could have a traumatic brain injury, and you could have MRIs and all kinds of stuff, and it's just not showing up. Right. So if you're in that circumstance, and the industrial clinic or whatever doctor your employer sent you to, if it's an agency or whatever, they're just going to just brush you off. Well, it's time to get an attorney because they're sending you back to work, and you're saying, no, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
Or they're sending you to acupuncture, and you're saying, hey, but my head.
Right.
And even if they've given you the diagnostic tests, you still might need further testing from a neurologist,
Correct.
not just from, whatever nurse practitioners or physician's assistants rolling around in the industrial clinic that day.
Right. A specialist is what we fight for you to get, right. and we fight for the right medical treatment. So once again, if you or a friend, family, loved one has suffered a traumatic brain injury and you don't know what to do, please give us a call for a consultation, and we can listen to your specific situation or their specific situation and provide the best advice and kind of what to expect.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love talking to people, helping them out, especially injured workers and their family members. And that's what we do here at the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer live stream podcast. We provide you with this general information. It's not legal advice. If you need legal advice, you dial the injury helpline. We come to the phone. We listen to the specific facts and circumstances of your case. Then we give you that direct feedback that is legal advice. So dial 844-984-8414 if you need that help.